Kirti?
Hello, hi Nisha. Yeah, sure.
Good evening, participants, and a warm welcome to another series of CIC webinar series. So, before I go on to the speakers, I would like to give a very brief introduction about today's talk. It's about the Biotechnology Ignition Grant. So, in detail, our speakers, Dr. Priya Natraj and Dr. Kriti Wani, they will be briefing you more about it. So, and to talk about them, they are from the big implementing partner or the another incubator, that is the Venture Center. So, to talk about Venture Center, it's a technology business incubator which is specialized in technology startups offering products and services, exploiting scientific expertise in the areas of material, chemicals, and biological sciences and engineering. Venture Center strives to nucleate and nurture technology and knowledge based enterprises by leveraging the scientific and engineering competencies of the institutes, especially in the regions of Pune. So, even though they are concentrating the western region, they do support startups in the southern region. So many of the startups from Tamil Nadu, in fact from Chennai, Coimbatore, they are supporting and mentoring the startups. In fact, they have through venture centers, the startups who applied through them have also been recommended, and in fact they have received the big grant. So one of the speaker today is Dr. Priya Natraj. She is the bio incubation manager from Venture Center. She has over 9 years of diverse experience spanning across drug discovery, pharma scientific services, and mentoring biotech startups for early stage fundraising. She also has in-depth understanding of the Indian biotech startup ecosystem, funding initiatives, and resource requirement. She holds a master's degree in biochemistry from MS University, Baroda, and PhD in cell biology from the University of Virginia, US. She worked with Advinus Therapeutic Limited, a pharmaceutical drug discovery company, for over 5 years. She has research experience in biochemistry, cell biology, development biology, molecular biology, and drug discovery. So, along with her, her colleague is also joining us. She is Dr. Kirti Wani. She is a biotech professional with a PhD in cancer nanotechnology, having over 5 years of diverse experience in wound healing products, genomic services, and project management. Currently, she is the assistant manager, grant programs at Venture Center. She is actively involved in big program management through program promotions, creating awareness of science entrepreneurship, managing, screening and reviewing of the process, proposal due diligence, contract management, project monitoring, mentoring of grantees, and stakeholder relationship. So we are very fortunate to have them for our webinar today. They will be elaborately discussing about the big grantee applications, and your queries you can directly ask them. Your pain points, or they'll be here throughout, and your questions can be raised in the Q&A session. So towards the end, they will be replying to all your queries. So to the participant who doesn't know about CIIC, that is Crescent Innovation Incubation Council, we are also a technology business incubator, but attached to the university, Crescent Institute of Science and Technology. We are placed in Chennai. So we have it's been a year that we have commenced, and we have 11 Center of Excellences, and out of them, the Center of Excellence, Life Science Center of Excellence, is being supported by the BIRAC Government of India. And currently we have 61 startups. And as a strength, we say is that we promote students to the entrepreneurship. So we have 21 student startups. So what we majorly focus in supporting startups in 3 M's, that is mentoring, facilitating and fund the money, and fundraising and identifying the investors. And third is identifying the marketplace in nationally and internationally. So currently we were able to support support the startups in raising or receiving 7 lakhs of government grants. It's a cumulative amount. And four of our startups cumulatively were able to raise 40 crores of investment amount. So in relationship, in regarding to any of the incubator details, you can always raise the questions in the Q&A or the chat box. We are there to reply to you. And so now I formally invite Dr. Priya and Dr. Kirti, and the platform is over to you.
Okay, thank you, Nisha, for a wonderful introduction and hosting this BIG awareness session for us. I welcome all the attendees for this session as we are going to discuss about BIG round 17. The call was opened on 1st of August and it will be open till 15 September 5:30 p.m. So sharing about BIG, let's move on to the next slide, please. So this is the advertisement set up by BIRAC for creating awareness about this BIG call 17th. Coming to what is BIRAC, moving on to next slide. BIG, that is Biotechnology Ignition Grant, is a flagship program by BIRAC. BIRAC is a Section 8 not-for-profit company set up by Government of India Department of Biotechnology in the year 2012. And since then, they have been running this wonderful scheme for startups as well as individuals. Moving to the next slide. The purpose of BIG is to foster generation of ideas with commercialization potential, to support innovative ideas to establish, upscale and validate proof of concept, that is POC, encourage researchers to take the technology closer to market through a startup and stimulate enterprise formation. So as a part of this scheme, a successful innovator can get up to 50 lakhs for over a period of 18 months. Moving to the next slide. So this is a grant in the form of grant in aid for both startups and individuals. From the last round, that is BIG 16, the royalty and tech transfer fee clause has been incorporated into the BIG guidelines. Through BIG, one can get mentoring, advisory and referral support by BIG partners. You can get the opportunity to benefit from learning, visibility and networking events by both BIRAC, BIG partner and your respective incubator as well. You get the opportunity to get your ideas evaluated by both technical and business experts. Next slide, please. So the proposals that are supported through BIG must have technology objectives. It should be establishing or validating POC. It can be associated with technology de-risking. It can have some scientific data to demonstrate the idea to investors or licensors. However, what is not supported through BIG is basic PhD student or laboratory research, as it is not an academic grant. The proposals which don't have a clear-cut plan of outcome in the terms of technology, product or services is not supported through BIG. The proposals having no or low novelty cannot be supported through BIG. Novelty holds maximum weightage percentage for evaluating your BIG proposal. The proposals that are associated with ethical or environmental risk cannot be supported through BIG. The higher TRL level projects, which are involving clinical trials, late stage validation, certifications, regulatory approvals, those proposals cannot get supported through BIG. For them, there are other grants by BIRAC itself called as BIPP or SIBRI. BIG is typically for early to ideation to early stage projects, which encompass TRL 1 to 3. Moving to the next slide. So as a biotechnology, the word itself indicates that it is very much interdisciplinary field. So there is a broad domains that are allowed for BIG, including drugs, devices, diagnostics, healthcare, industrial products, industrial biotechnology process development, agriculture, secondary agriculture, other areas having bio IT interface, IoT, AI, ML, those kinds of proposals are also supported through BIG. Moving to the next slide. There is a certain eligibility criteria for both individuals as well as startups to apply for BIG. For startup, as this is a Indian grant governed by Government of India, the startup has to be an Indian startup, implying that more than 51 shares have to be held by individuals. The company's age is an important qualifier for eligibility. It has to be less than 5 years old from the current call launch date. So the current call is launched on 1st August 2020, meaning that the companies which are incorporated before 1st August 2015 are not eligible to apply for BIG. The companies have to have their functional R&D lab wherein they are able to conduct their proposed work for BIG. If at all they don't have the R&D facility, they need to get incubated with an incubator. For individuals, they have to be Indian citizens. They need to get incubated in a TBI, and the PL needs to give a commitment to carry out the project for full time, or if they are already associated with any academic institution, then organizational policies has to be in place. Going to the next slide. So what is an incubator? I'm sure all of us know what the incubator is. It is a dedicated physical facility having scientific mentoring and advisory support that are required for initial stages of any individual or startup to enter into their entrepreneurial careers. These incubators have to have formal approvals from executive head of a host institution or from BIRAC or NSTBD for a longer duration. The applicants, including mainly faculty members or PhD students, cannot claim their current academic labs as their incubation spaces. They need to get incubated in an incubator. Now, while selecting an incubator, applicant can think of mainly two things. First is the geographical location, as incubator will be the place wherein you as a PL or the team have to go for conducting their day-to-day experimental activities. Therefore, it has to be, it can be somewhere in the near geographical location. And the other important thing which they have to think of is the incubator has facilities that are required on a regular basis. Some facilities, some experiments or some outsourcing activities, they can get done from other incubators as well as an outsourcing head. But the main facilities that they are going to require on a regular basis, it will be really helpful if the incubator has all those services. Your chosen incubator may or may not be your BIG partner. So moving to the next slide, which talks about 8 BIG partners which are spanned all over India, Venture Center being one of them. So your BIG partner can be Venture Center, but you can get incubated at SISE. As Nisha was mentioning, there are many grantees who are located in the south region, but however, we are serving them as their BIG partners. So moving to the next slide. Here are some key tips and pointers to apply for BIG. Your proposed idea must have proof of concept nature. It should have a clear novelty. It should be technically feasible and doable within a given time span of 18 months and up to 850 lakhs budget. It is very helpful if the applicant has done a prior art search to find out if there are any IP barriers and whether the proposed idea or the product has freedom to operate in India. In recent BIG rounds, we have experienced that clear business model and the commitment of PI towards commercialization has given a great emphasis. A credible and complete team having a real understanding of the market or the need has to be included. Moving to the next slide. We recommend to have a very clear and self-explanatory POC statement or POC definition, which should talk about all the important aspects of your project in one sentence. It should talk about major objectives, which should talk about your differentiators in terms of novelty and the importance that is unmet need. You need to take good efforts while writing your concept note. My colleague Priya will be talking more in details about how to write the effective concept note. Then you need to state the generation of IP, be it in the terms of patent, any design application, trademark, or any procedural know-how. You need to mention that wherever possible in your proposal. This helps reviewers to understand what will be the novelty associated with your work. Having a clear plan of work in stages is recommended. The team constitution is important. Right now, we do understand that you may not be having a competent team with you already. It is okay. You need to just mention that what kind of background are you looking for and for what exact role in your BIG project you are wanting to hire that particular expertise. Even if you mention that, that is enough. The reviewers only need to understand whether you have a clear cut understanding of what exactly you are going to require in terms of manpower. You can divide your entire study into 3 major milestones, which could be of equal duration each and which will be associated with funding release. The last milestone is in the form of reimbursement. Now, how to write these milestones in terms of technical details, my colleague Priya will be elaborating. Moving to next slide. The evaluation of your BIG proposal is mainly based on these following criteria, which include technical feasibility of the idea, novelty, value proposition, commercialization strategy, theme, any challenges and the strategies to overcome these challenges, and the entire project plan. So the weightage associated with all these parameters vary, but more or less it is similar. So you need to have a balanced proposal which is having a good merit in all these regards. So moving to the next slide. Priya, can we go? Yeah, so this slide talks about the funding requirement of your proposal because they also ask for your funding need. Through BIG, you can get money under 8 different heads, including equipment, consumable, manpower, incubation or rental services and others, travel, IP, outsourcing and contingency. So for all this head, there is a cap set by BIRAC. For example, equipment, manpower and outsourcing, there is a cap of 30%. So if your sanctioned amount is 50 lakh, you cannot claim more than 15 lakhs for these heads. So these details can be taken care of at the later stage also. At the time of application, what is expected from the applicant is he or she needs to have a clear-cut idea, or not very clear per se, but you need to have an idea about what exactly will be the equipment required for this project, whether you can get it through BIG's set limits, and what will be the manpower or the other heads, other expenses in terms of consumables or raw materials required for this project are going to be. Moving to the next slide. So this is the entire BIG process. The call is open twice a year, one in January and the second in July. But due to the pandemic situation, the current call was postponed by a month and it got opened on 1st August. As the call closes after 1.5 months, the proposals go to your respective BIG partners login. Then they do their preliminary screening, which involves scheme to fit ratio and eligibility documentation. The eligible proposals and the selected ones then go to online reviewers, wherein each proposal, next slide please, is given to 5 experts from business as well as technical domains, and they evaluate your proposal based on the criteria which we discussed earlier. 3 positive recommendations out of 5 then go to the next round of technological evaluation panel meeting. Initially, this round used to happen at BIG partners location, but from last 2 calls, it has been designed in a thematic way. Each partner is given a particular theme. Say, for example, agriculture theme is given to one BIG partner. Then the shortlisted applicant needs to go to that partner's location and present your work. This essentially implies that your chosen BIG partner may not be the site where you will be presenting for TEP. However, your entire management is going to be with your BIG partner only. So the constitution of the panel for this meeting is centrally designed by BIRAC. So this is, as this is a thematic TEP, the experts will essentially have expertise in that particular theme. They will be evaluating your proposal on 5 major criteria, which include unmet need, value proposition, technical feasibility, team strength, and business perspective. In this, commercialization potential is considered as critical qualifier. So even if your proposal is having good merits on other 4 fronts, but it does not have or has low commercialization potential, the chances of this proposal going ahead will be very less. This is the main aim of BIG, is it needs to support the ideas having commercialization potential. So your proposal should be balanced on all these fronts. Moving to the next slide. The proposal which are then recommended by TEP panel go for the last round, that is expert selection committee meeting that happens at BIRAC, wherein the cutoffs for different themes based on the marks given by experts in that particular theme are decided. And those who have crossed that cutoff range are then they receive in principle approval by ESC. These proposals then undergo a very important stage called as due diligence. This is the stage wherein you can get a chance to refine your entire project based on what all reviewers comments you got, based on what all are the quotations you can get from vendors. So this is the point wherein you need to be very sure about who will be in your team, what will be the technical milestones you are going to put in your agreement, where will be the site where you are going to conduct your work, all of that. But in this stage, your BIG partner will be working closely with you. We will be guiding you so that you can come up with a concrete BIG project plan. Once your due diligence gets an approval, moving on to the next slide. Priya, can we go? Yeah. You sign the agreement with your BIG partner. The date of agreement signing is the start date of your project, meaning that your clock for 18 months starts ticking then. According to the start date of your project, your milestone duration and your entire project duration is calculated. Moving to the next slide. At the time of agreement signing, you get your first installment. Using that, you are supposed to undertake the objectives and the activities which are mentioned in your first milestone. Once that milestone is complete, say after 6 months, you are supposed to give a technical progress report along with the presentation, along with your utilization certificate to your BIG partner. Once your BIG partner okays your technical and financial progress, then you receive the installment for your second milestone. You need to repeat this activity for 2 more times, and the last milestone is in the form of reimbursement. Moving on to the next slide. So through BIG, as we discussed earlier, you get a lot of opportunities, not only as applicant, but also as grantees. As an applicant, if you apply for BIG and don't get BIG essentially, what you do definitely get is good concrete comment based on technical as well as business perspectives. You can rework on these ideas and apply again to BIG or improvise and apply for some other grants. We have seen such cases who did not get BIG in first 2-3 attempts, but at the 4th attempt or something, they got BIG, and the proposal what they had presented and in their first attempt got very much changed, modified in a better way by the time they finally got BIG. Also, BIRAC conducts very national as well as international events for BIG grantees, wherein you can get networking opportunities to showcase yourself and to collaborate at international level also. So this is the photograph showing Ignite Boot Camp, which is typically organized by BIRAC for BIG grantees, wherein they get an opportunity to interact, go to UK, to Cambridge School, and interact with international experts. So moving on to the next slide. I will quickly run you through the application process. Application is essentially a two-step process. First is the registration. For registering, you need to go to BIRAC homepage and click on login. There you can get this page wherein click here to register for BIG scheme. Then moving to the next slide. They ask you whether you are going to apply as a company or as an individual. Here, I would like to mention one very important point. I have seen such queries that they have some company stakes in some company, but still they want to apply as an individual. That is what is not allowed. If you have some stakes in the company, you need to apply as a company, or you need to dilute your shares and then apply as an individual. For new companies which are not registered on BIRAC website, they need to first register their companies on BIRAC database, because you cannot write your company name per se. You need to select your company name from the drop down list. So you need to register your company first, then apply as a company. So those who are really willing to apply in the current BIG call, I would kindly request them to start the application process very much in time, because these steps themselves take one day's time to register your company, to register yourself, have your own login ID and password. So it is very much helpful to start at least registration and other uploads very much in time, and then you can keep working on your technical details and refining them better. And my colleague will be talking more in details about how to write a good effective proposal. Then moving on to the next slide. Priya, can you go to next slide? So this is the place where they ask you whether you are going to apply as individual or a company. Then once you are applying as an individual, going to the next slide, they ask you for your own details along with your incubation details. You need to have a thought of which incubator you want to go through and the details of the incubator. You need to also submit a letter of intent from the proposed incubator. Then going to the next slide, if you're applying as a company, they ask for all the company details. So if you see in this form, for the company name, you can't write that name. You need to select it from drop-down lists. That's why you need to register your company first and your own details. Once you fill all these details, you get a CAPTCHA code. Once you enter that, you get registered onto BIRAC system. Now moving to the next stage. Next slide, please. This is the proposal submission step wherein actual technical details of your proposal needs to be filled. They ask for the basic information, including applicant type, whether it is individual or company, proposal title, duration, relevant area, BIG partner, and if you have applied earlier, brief details about that. If you have applied as a company, then the company details are asked along with the necessary documents. If you are applying as an individual, they ask the documents as individual again along with the necessary documents. Moving to the next slide. Then they also ask for project leader and the team details along with their title, designation, and the resume in the format given by BIRAC. You can see this format at the time of application itself. Then comes the main essential heart of your proposal, that is the technical details. They ask for proposal summary, which includes concept note. You need to, my colleague Priya will be explaining more in details about the concept note of the project, how to write an effective concept note. Then you need to write objectives and proposed approach. Novelty, here you can upload a competitive landscape table talking about what are the current competitors you have and how you are different from them. Then opportunities, challenges, and preliminary work if you have any. Proposed end outcome, that also you need to select from the drop-down list whether it is going to be a product, service, or a technology offering. The plan of commercialization, IP, whether you own any IP, whether there is any prior art or freedom to operate in India. Then you can attach references, declaration documents, or any other relevant documents. Moving to the next slide. Here comes the proposed objectives along with the timelines and the indicator of progress part. It is okay if you don't have the clear-cut idea about what exactly will be the activities in terms of experiments to be conducted. But broadly, you can give an idea what exactly you are planning to do within these 18 months under your given BIG project. Then budget justification, mainly they ask for budget heads under equipment, HR and consumables. So here your proposal ends. You can get in touch with us if you have any queries while you apply for BIG. So this is a table showing overall BIG success rate of Venture Center. Venture Center has been serving as a BIG partner from BIG round 4. However, we were mentoring applicants right from call 1 itself. So currently BIG round 16 just got over and call 17 is going on. So it is a very proud moment to say that the applicants who apply from Venture Center and who actually get BIG is very high as compared to other BIG partners. From last calls, it has been significantly on the rise. Moving to the next slide. So these are a few pickups from different domains of BIG who are associated with the Venture Center as BIG partner. Dr. Aman Sharma from Exocan, he has developed liposomal based nanoparticles for cancer detection. Dr. Abhay Shende from Swasti Agro has come up with agricultural products which are already into the market. Dr. Pankaj Chitrala from JC Ortho Hill has developed a product called as Flexi OH for accidental relief. Dr. Milind Chaudhary from We Innovate Biosolutions has developed two products, Silvo Clean and Heal Wrap, both based on silver nanoparticles for different applications. So moving to the next slide. At Venture Center, BIG team operates into three verticals, BIG applications and contract, mentoring and project management. Namrata and I, we take care of promotion and other management related activities. Dr. Premnath and Priya will take care of mentoring, and overall project management is done by Dr. Manisha and Shruti. Moving to the next slide. So you can get in touch with either me or Priya. This is the contact information. We will also be posting our details into the chat box. You can write to us later. Also moving to next slide. You can connect with us on social media through Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. We create an emailer ID for collecting all your emails, and we will be updating you on upcoming events. And we also will be showcasing you if you get associated with us. Thank you for your patient listening. I will now hand over to Priya for technical guidance on BIG.
Thanks, Kirti. Kirti, maybe you can take some questions till I set up my slides.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I'll just go through it. Okay, this is one question who is asking about, I want to apply for BIG in individual category and you are residing at Chennai. Yeah, you can definitely apply as individual. You can get in touch with us if you want more information about BIG application process. Then there is a question by any age limit for the project leader. So no, there is no any age limit for BIG. We have successful BIG grantees who are pretty much seasoned clinicians themselves, and they have set up a company and they have hired young people who can do all the running around of the company. But as a PL, they are leading the project. So there is no any age limit on that. Then there is another question by the same participant that can we submit more than one proposal? Definitely you can submit more than one proposal through single BIG partner or different BIG partners, but essentially you need only one will get funded. And in your proposal, when they are asking, have you applied for this idea before, there you need to be clear-cutly mentioning whether you are going to apply with the same idea or with a different idea. I think these are the only questions so far.
Kirti, some questions are there in Q&A session.
Okay. don't see that session though. Oh yeah, just a second.
Yeah.
Okay, so this question is, I completed my BTech working on 3D printing. With the help of 3D printing, we want to develop a medical device. Yes, you are definitely eligible for such projects. However, you need to figure out what will be the innovative aspect of your project and how differently you are standing as against the companies which are offering similar product. I want to apply for BIG under individual. Yeah, I think this question was taken up. After getting patent grant, is it mandatory to make FTO? If yes, how to get it done? If your patent is already granted in India, then as far as my knowledge is concerned, you need not go for FTO, because these all things would be taken care of at the stage where when you applied for your patent. If you want any guidance about patent and what if you want to file any new patent through BIG, Venture Center also has a patent cell. You can get in touch with us and I will connect you through patent team, IP team, and you can get help from them. The last question is, I want to apply for BIG, but only in individual category. So that's okay. If you have stakes in any company, then we can discuss it one-on-one. You can get in touch with us, then we can figure out what are the issues in applying as individual. Okay, I think those were the questions. Priya, now I think you can take over.
All right. Thanks, Kirti. Good evening to all of you, and thank you for taking the time to be here. So what I'll do is I'll just briefly walk you through a few pointers, tips and pointers from our side on how to prepare a BIG proposal. I believe this is not just for a BIG proposal, any other early stage funding grant proposal that you want to apply for. You might want to consider all these factors and keep these things in mind when you are putting a proposal together. Okay. So the first thing I would like to enlighten you with is the difference between a grant and a pitch. So pitch is something that you make to an investor or to somebody who's going to put money into your company in return for something. That means they're going to take equity, or they're going to take some thing from the company for them to invest or put money into your company. Now, a pitch is generally different from a grant, because what a pitch is trying to do is that it's trying to understand, you're trying to convey what you are doing as a company to the audience. You want them to know everything that you are doing as a company. It could be the products that you have, the products that you have developed, the services that you are offering, the technology platforms that you have developed. And, you are also, when you're asking for money, you're asking money for the company. You're asking money for everything that's going on in the company. Okay. So you might be using this money to further the development of many products. You might be using it for enhancing services. You might be using this money for, sales and marketing, manufacturing, whole bunch of things. Okay. That is not true of a grant. Okay. A grant is when you pitch for something very, very specific. So grants generally come with a duration. That means you will come to know by reading the specs of the grant that it is for a certain amount of time. BIG is for 18 months. They give you up to 50 lakhs. So the money is defined. The duration is defined. Okay. And you are asking money to do something very specific. That means you're asking money to go from point A to point B in your product development cycle. Okay, you are not asking money for getting a market ready product and selling it into the market at this stage. You are asking money for prototype development to further wherever you have reached up to this point, to further that development. Okay, it's important to know, therefore, depending on the grant that you're applying for, what are you going to pitch for? That means, say, if you take BIG as an example in this case, what are you going to do in BIG? And here, be very realistic. Don't propose something, as I just said, that, at the end of BIG, we are going to have a market ready product and it's something that we will be able to sell. It depends. Maybe if you are working on a product which has a very short product life cycle, it's possible that at the end of BIG, you will have a market ready product. But then for many biotech products, that is not the case. Okay. You might further your prototype development, but you may not have a market ready product. And that is fine at this stage when you're applying for BIG. So be realistic in terms of what you are pitching for and what is it that you are going to do in BIG. Also, what will you be able to show as a deliverable? That means at the end of BIG, be very specific in terms of telling them what is it that you are going to deliver at the end of this 18-month period with the money that we're asking for. Okay. Now, keeping all this in mind is what you are going to ultimately, sort of develop into a story. The story essentially has a problem. You have an unmet need that you have identified. You are coming up with a solution in your own way for that unmet need. Okay. Possibly a unique solution. You're talking about why should somebody be interested in your product, in your solution? Why should they buy? What is different as compared to what else is available in the market? And you are asking for the ask. That means give me money for me to carry out these activities and show you at the end that this is where I can reach. Okay. So I think by now you should be familiar based on Kirti's talk that what are these terms, or what is an applicant, who is a project leader, incubation center, facility, and a BIG partner. As Kirti said, your BIG partner need not be your incubation center. You can incubate wherever you want and pick a BIG partner that suits your requirements the best in terms of location and, other factors. Okay. If you're applying as an individual, the project leader and the applicant are the same people. If you're applying as a company, the applicant is the company and the project leader is the person who's going to drive the project. Okay. Now, coming to the next point is, in fact, you can say this is almost half your problem solved. If you are able to convince the reader that you are really solving a real problem, okay, and you have identified a true unmet need to solve. So just to give you an example, if I am developing a diagnostic device for diabetes, okay, me saying that so many million people or billion people in the world are suffering from diabetes is not the direct problem that I am taking care of. Okay, it actually doesn't relate to the fact that I'm developing a diagnostic test. If you think about it, I'm developing a diagnostic test and I'm giving a statistic of so many people suffering from diabetes. Okay, even though you might know somebody suffering from diabetes and you might understand this space, even for you, this might seem sort of like, what is the relationship between what you are doing and what you are telling me? So I need to tell them that yes, there are a large number of people suffering from diabetes. How are these people currently testing themselves? Okay, so it is not just diabetes screening, diagnostic, it is even monitoring. So how are these people doing monitoring? So monitoring is happening at a home setting. How many times in a day do they typically monitor their blood glucose levels? Say 3 to 4 times they're monitoring blood glucose levels. How many such devices are available in the market which are at serving the home need? That means point of care devices which can detect blood glucose levels accurately and tell the patient that, whether it's under control or not. Okay, so there you will get a sense of what all exists in the market today. You will get a sense of which companies are involved, what kind of products are they selling, are they meeting the requirement of home need? Because you already know that for a disease like diabetes, the technological advancement has reached a stage where you are able to do the testing at home. You need not go to a laboratory anymore. There are other diseases for which you do need to go to a laboratory, but not for diabetes. So you are not looking at if you want to solve a problem, definitely that problem is not bringing point of care home. It is not bringing a device home. That problem has already been solved. Okay. So then you come back to the home setting and you say, okay, at the home setting, what is the problem that a patient faces when they have to monitor their blood glucose levels? All right. You can talk to patients to find out what is the problem. You can talk to doctors. You can talk to people selling the devices because they might be interacting with the target customer in this case and have a better understanding of what the needs are. And after all your analysis, you come to the conclusion that the very specific problem or the pain point that you want to solve, or rather is worth solving. When I say worth solving, it is because there will be a market interest for such a solution if you were to solve this problem, is if you were able to provide a non-invasive, non-prick solution for them to detect their glucose levels. Okay, so that means the patient doesn't have to prick themselves 3 to 4 times a day for them to measure blood glucose levels. And that is the pain point you have identified. Now, if you have to convert this pain point to a solution, that would be that you have to now come up with a point of care device. It has to be used at a home setting. It has to be used rapidly. That means it has to give results at the same time as the current devices are giving. It has to be sensitive and as specific as the current devices that are there in the market, but it has to be able to do all of this non-invasively. Okay, so there you go. You now, so if you are able to identify the need very specifically when you talk about the problem, your solution becomes self-explanatory. Now, if you were to arrive at this need on this slide, before I go to the next slide and read about your solution, it's apparent to me that, okay, the next slide is going to talk about a solution addressing the pain point that the patient has to prick. That means that the patient has to come up with like a non-invasive test. So I can tell you that half your story is, or half your justification for developing a device is done if you're able to convince the committee that the problem and the need that you have identified is real. Now, there are some problem statements which are very apparent, very easy to relate to, because these are things that the committee also may have seen in their personal settings, in their professional settings. But at the same time, there are problems that you might be working on, which is not very apparent in terms of a need. People may not be aware that there is an unmet need in this space, in which case it is your responsibility to do that. Don't assume that the committee is going to know this. Okay. Then we come to the product. When you are explaining the product, please be very clear about how your product is going to look like. Because again, visually, to be able to see a product and see how the product will be used to the customer who is going to use the user, becomes very easy then for them to relate to, okay, that means blood is this. Like if you look at this product, for example, there are a few things that I learned from this without anybody explaining verbally to me. Okay, and that is that blood is being used as a sample. Okay, this product consists of a pricking device. It consists of monitoring. That means it gives a digital readout, which is like a pocket size instrument, and it also has a consumable, which is the strip. So for me, this product is actually three parts. There is a device, there is a consumable, and there is a hardware, which is basically going to give me the readout. And I know that this used is blood. That's it. There is nothing more to this device than that, from a user's point of view. So it's important for you to tell them this, that you know from a user's point of view how the user will actually use the product. Now, I understand that at this stage, you may not have a lot of, you may not have a complete ready picture of your product, which is okay. If you're able to modify an existing picture, come up with a design, a diagram on how it will look and how the user will use it, that should also suffice at this stage. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So the next thing is about the technology. Now here is where you can talk about all the science that you want to talk about your product. Okay. So here is where you will talk about what is the technology you're using, how does the product work, on what principle does the product work, why have you decided to use this technology, and at this stage, if you want to highlight anything novel about your technology that you are using, which is going to offer you uniqueness, it's going to give you the potential to file a patent going ahead, you can highlight all of that at this stage. Now, please remember that here you are talking about the science behind the product. You're not talking about, you know, how it will look, feel. All of that is covered in your previous slide. Okay. Novelty and IP strategy. Novelty basically refers to IP potential. That means what is it that can give you IP potential to differentiate yourself, protect your invention from others. What we strongly suggest is doing a prior art search, coming up with a basic prior art search at this stage. At least look to see what claims you want to make and see if other people have made those claims and see who all have made those claims. What kind of patents exist in that space, okay? And see whether you are different from them, whether you can differentiate yourself from them. Are you infringing on somebody else's patent, or are, you know, is there scope for you to work? Also, as somebody asked, if there is freedom to operate. So freedom to operate could mean that, yes, somebody has covered some of your claims in other parts of the world, but not in India, which means that, yes, there is still room for you to operate in India. So having a table like that at this stage would really help. You don't need to file anything at this stage. You don't need to go to BIG already having filed something. If you have filed something, please share details about that. If you haven't, it's okay. You can just mention that these are the patents that you came across in this space, and this is how I am different from whatever I have identified. And then current status. So now I understand that BIG is a proof of concept grant, but they still expect to see some data to substantiate some of the claims you're making. And remember, you can show data. It's up to you what you want to show data for, but what we really encourage is to show data for the key claims that you are making about your product, because ultimately, if the key claims don't hold up, you will not be able to build the product. So just going back to the previous example that I took, if you look at the product that I told you about, okay, if it's a non-invasive device for monitoring blood glucose levels, the key claim that I am making here is not that I can develop an app or develop a digital readout or develop a consumable or anything like that. The key claim I'm making here is that I am able to detect blood glucose levels using a non-invasive methodology or a technology up to the sensitivity and specificity of a gold standard or benchmark product. That is my key claim. That means if this claim doesn't hold up, my proposal doesn't hold up, because I'm building this entire proposal on the claim that I can detect this non-invasively. So can I show some data supporting that? Now this data can be published data. It is even better if it is your own data. Even if it's preliminary data, you have not achieved the kind of sensitivity and specificity that you want to achieve, it's fine. Even if you can show lab level, very initial data to substantiate these key claims that you are making, that would really help. Now for this, you need to know in your POP so that you don't end up wasting time and money generating data for things that are peripherals, that are not the central claims of your product. When you are showing data, it's again important for you to realize that you must have done some work, okay? And you are now claiming that you want to do more work up to reach a certain stage. So it is important for you to tell them what stage you are at currently, what is your end goal, and what is the scope of this project. So it's like saying that, currently I have standardized this non-invasive technique. It works up to 70% sensitivity and specificity. I need to get this up to 98%. So the goal is for me to go from 70% to 98%. And I'm going to do that during BIG. Okay. So it's important for you to specify that. That leads you to defining what is called as milestones. Okay. Now remember that at the time of submitting your application, you have to submit your milestones also. But your milestones can be changed after you get the grant. You can work with your BIG partner. They will mentor you on how to change your milestones if your milestones are not very specific, because sometimes even reviewers read it, they can say that we did not find the milestones to be very specific. Now remember, when I say specific, it means that at the end of each milestone, so you divide your project, as Kirti said, into 3 milestones. At the end of each milestone, you have to define a deliverable which everybody can track. You can track, BIG partner can track, reviewer can track. Okay. It becomes very easy, therefore, to track your achievables also. So instead of saying that at the end of M1, you will have a half-developed prototype. Now, in your mind, a half-developed prototype can be different from what your BIG partner is thinking a half-developed prototype can be, right? So if you can give some specifics on what do you mean by a half-developed prototype, that will be more specific. That will be better. Like, just to give you an example, M3 here, I have mentioned that I will select 3 centers for product validation. I will demonstrate specificity and sensitivity against a gold standard using 100 samples. Okay. Now, imagine this comes to a BIG partner or a reviewer as a report. What are we going to look for? We are going to look to see how many centers have you chosen? Have you demonstrated specificity and sensitivity? How many samples have you used? Have you achieved gold standard values? That's it. It's so easy for us to track when you put down specific milestones. Now, when you put down your milestones, it's important also for your milestones to relate to your deliverable. So what I suggest is that you define a deliverable first for your BIG. That means, you say that my grant end deliverable should be a device which can detect blood glucose levels within 2 minutes with a limiter of detection of so much and so much specificity and sensitivity. Once you put this down, you can track back and define milestones to achieve this grant deliverable. So again, I think taking you back to my second slide, where I was telling you that you should be very specific in defining your grant deliverable. This is what I mean by a statement on how specific your deliverable will be. Doesn't matter what you're working on. You can be working on a diagnostic device, an industrial biotechnology process, agriculture related, whatever it is. Please make sure that you define a very specific deliverable for your grant. This is something I ask people to put together for you to understand what is the work, like what are work plan parameters you're going to track. Okay. Like, are you going to track, like in some cases, you'll have to measure strength of the product. You'll have to measure biocompatibility. You'll have to measure viability. So why don't you put down all the parameters, okay? And then you can mention what kind of methods you are going to use to do these measurements. Are there methods even available? So I'll tell you, like, in cases where people are working on drugs, especially, some cases they don't have validated drug discovery models. They don't have animal models to validate their drug. So when you put down a chart like this is when you realize which methods are there, known methods, consistent methods, reliable methods, and which methods are not that reliable. And you will know where your weak points are, where your strong points are. You will also know that whether you have benchmark values to compare. That means, are these values known for a gold standard or a benchmark process? And can you match those values? Because it becomes very easy for you to say that at the end of the day, I have to achieve this value. And that's a definite value. There is no debate there. There's no high, low, short, long, nothing. It's a one value that you have to achieve. So if you put this down, it becomes easier for you also to know what is it that you want to achieve. Now, in product commercialization strategy, they're looking for two things. Okay, no financials, no Excel sheets or anything like that, no projections in terms of what you want to do for 5 years, no. What they want to know is, what is your business model? That means, who is your target customer? What is the product that you're selling? Who is going to buy the product? Who is going to use the product? Have you thought of a ballpark pricing for the product? That means, etc. Okay. And have you thought of your entire commercialization process, keeping in mind all the hurdles or obstacles or processes that you need to follow before your product hits the market? That means, are you aware whether your product needs regulatory approvals? Do you need any licenses? Do you need any certifications? Do you need to do clinical studies? Okay. So, or do you need to do field trials? So are you aware of this? Have you accounted for the timelines and how much time it's going to take for you to do all of this before considering that your product is going to reach market? That is what they're trying to understand, whether you are aware of all these things. Okay. So essentially you can put down a chart like this. You can do it any way you like, but the message is that you start with end of BIG. So you have a grant deliverable, as we discussed. You start from there and then you move ahead, talking about what will you do immediately after BIG gets over? What will you do after that? What will you do after that? How long is this process going to take till you reach a stage where you can commercialize your first set of products in the market? Okay, that's what they mean by a commercialization strategy. Competitive landscape is important. Please be very clear on what is your differentiation from other people selling. We have more often than not seen that, there's a good product, but if the product is not able to differentiate properly from everything available in the market, if this actually becomes one of the grounds for the review committee to say that, we really don't understand, there are so many of the products in the market, what is so different here? What is it that they are going to do differently? Okay, so it's important for you to really convey this, as in what is it that you are doing differently and better as compared to others. So we suggest having a table. Okay, look at value parameters. That means you have identified a target customer. Okay, now for that target customer to solve that particular payment, there are products in the market. Many people are making products, right? So you have to put down all those products globally, not just in India, and look at, from a customer point of view, what would be the parameter that would be useful. Don't differentiate on technology. So if you say, I am using infrared technology and they are using ELISA, okay, the customer doesn't care. The customer is never going to come back and ask you, which technology are you using in your product? But if you say that I can detect, in my product, there's going to be no invasive pricking needles involved. The other products, all of them use needles. Okay, so that is one advantage for the customer. The second advantage for the customer is that maybe it's a point of care device. But see, remember that if others have solved that problem, it no longer becomes a differentiating factor for you. Okay. The other thing, so I'll just give you one example. If I'm making a watch, differentiating myself from other people making watches is not my only market, or rather, these are not going to be my only customers. Or everybody who wears a watch is not my customer. Everybody who tells time is my customer. So every equipment or gadget that exists today that tells time becomes my competition. So I have to differentiate myself from cell phones. I have to differentiate myself from any product that can tell time, because at the end of the day, the customer is using that product to tell time, which is the value that I'm providing for my product also. So please remember Don't look at only other products made in the same way that you have made it. Look at any product that solves that pain point for the customer, and that becomes your competition. Okay. It's better for you to here at this stage, be very clear about what is a team, what is and who is an advisor, and who's a consultant. So in BIG, a team are people who are working full time on the BIG project. Okay. So even in your company, you might have 10 people, but all 10 people may not be working on BIG. Only 4 people might be working on BIG. So show them as your team members working on the BIG project, their credentials, designation, background, everything that is relevant to the project. Okay. Advisors are working pro bono. That means you are not paying the advisor for their services. BIG does not allow you to pay a mentor for his services, his or her services. So these are people who come with many years of experience, who are reputed in the field, who will be able to advise you from time to time. They are not committing full time to your project, and they will basically give you advice if you get stuck somewhere or you want to go to them. Then there are consultants. Consultants, you will get some budget in BIG to pay for consultants. This is a paid service. That means you are approaching somebody for a very specific service. They are paying you for that service, and you are giving, that is the transaction you have with them. Okay. So when you're putting this slide together, remember to differentiate these 3 things. So we have generally seen people put very senior professors as part of their team. Now it's very clear that the senior professor is very busy in working in his own lab, running his own research. He is not going to be working full time in your team. He might be advising you in BIG. Okay, so put them down as your advisors. Okay? You can have a slide like this. As I said, please showcase yourself as the project leader, because right now you may not have a lot of people on your team. You may not have anybody. You may have only yourself. So talk about yourself. Talk about the people you wish to hire if you get the grant. What kind of backgrounds do they have? Do they need to have? How will they contribute to the project? How will you contribute to the project? Okay, this will help. And lastly, the market potential and interest. So you're basically, there are 2 ways to do this. One is that you give a global number. As I said, 3 billion people in the world suffering from diabetes. Diabetes diagnostics are growing at this CAGR, and all of these numbers that you give. This is great because yes, it's a global number. It says that there's a growing market for this product. But at the same time, even if you're able to do a very, very small market research in your town, in your city, even if it's amongst 5-10 doctors that you have met or key stakeholders that you have met, okay, and ask them, spoken to them, how many customers have you spoken to, is one of the questions that your BIG committee is going to ask. First, small market research in real need, which does not come from a market report or something like that. Okay. It also helps to show in this space for the same kind of products, other startups working in this space. Are they growing? Have they raised money? How in the last maybe 1 or 2 years, what has been the kind of investment going into the space? What has been the kind of patents being filed in this space? All of this suggests this is a very hot topic to work on. A lot of people are interested in this, which means there's a lot of potential to put money, to invest in this space, to give you the grant, to help your further product development. Okay. If you've applied for BIG before, or if you've got any comments during your BIG application process, please put them down and address those. It is highly valuable. The committee really wants to see whether you have taken the effort, to do this. Also, I would like to say that there is no limitation to how many times you can apply for BIG. You can apply till you get the grant. Once you get the grant, you become ineligible to apply for another grant. But up till that point, you can keep applying. Please do not consider this negatively. Each time they go back, they fix comments, they come back and they reapply. The other thing I would like to say is that, after I've given you a structure that you can use to build your BIG proposal. This does not mean that there is something called as a perfect proposal. You will never reach a stage where you are going to be happy and think that this is a perfect proposal. I will wait for this to happen till I submit. Please don't do that. Okay, because you will never be happy with what you're going to put together. You will always think that I missed out on this. I should have added more information here and things like that. My suggestion is, with whatever you are able to put together, at least take care of the broad sectors that we are asking you to address. Please submit the application. Okay, because you don't know how you are thinking about it and how the reviewer is thinking about it. You might be thinking that, oh, in this area, I'm very weak, or rather, I feel I should have put more information here. But when you get your comments back, your reviewer might be telling you to look at another area where you never thought of. Your reviewer might be saying, I think you should be focusing more on this. Can you provide more information on this? And you would have said, oh, I never thought I should think about this from that point of view. So it is better for you to submit it, get comments, and then revise your proposal based on the comments that you are getting, rather than you sort of doing this in the dark, thinking that these are the areas that you need to refine. If you get a chance, run your BIG proposal through some, other entrepreneurs, friends and colleagues, etc., who are not from your area of work, who are maybe from allied areas of work, because your reviewers are also not going to be exactly from your area of work, and see what they think about it. Are they able to relate to the problem? Are they relating to the unmet need? Are they able to understand your product and your technology solution and all of this? Okay. So at this stage, these are a few pointers we can give you. These are fairly generalized, but then if you need any specific help with your proposal, again, we would be happy to do this, help you on a case-by-case basis. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I think I don't see any major questions. Can anybody, Nisha or Kirti, can you see any questions?
I'm just taking the same, just a minute. Huh?
Okay, somebody's asked a question. Can we submit the proposal earlier submitted to BIRAC but was not successful? Okay, yes, you can resubmit this proposal, but please be mindful of the fact that when you got your, when the proposal was rejected, they may have shared some comments. Now, it is possible that your BIG partner may not have shared those comments with you. Please write to your BIG partner and get your comments from your previous submission. Read those comments carefully and see whether in your next submission you are able to address those comments. That means, have you addressed them in some way? So if, for example, if the reviewer said that data is not sufficient, have you generated more data since then? So please address them and then resubmit the proposal.
Yeah, are
considered under this grant? It depends. So if you're developing a platform kind of a product, yes, bioinformatics proposals can be considered. If you're developing a service based on bioinformatics, I'm not sure whether that falls under the preview of the grant. But yes, if you're developing a platform, it can be productized. If you can develop a product out of it, yes, it can be considered under BIG.
Yeah, there are a few questions in the QA tab.
Yeah. I'll look at them. If one company has got the BIG grant, but we have an improvised version and cost-effective version, will BIRAC be interested to fund? Okay, so if you have already got the BIG grant, you are ineligible as a company and an individual to apply for BIG. But there are other grants that BIRAC gives. You can consider them. You can consider SIBRI. Depending on the stage of development you are at, you can consider SIBRI or BIPP for further development. There are other prototyping grants also that you can look at. But from BIG, you would be ineligible. If your proposal has a strong bottom line in terms of social impact, you can consider SPARSH also. Okay. What will be the role and responsibility of the BIG partner in screening process of the application? Kirti, would you like to take that?
Yeah, sure. Once you submit your application goes online to your BIG partner's login as well. So right from all the screening steps, including basic eligibility screening, TEP meeting, EAC meeting, all those times your point of contact will be your chosen BIG partner. That partner will be sharing the comments and feedback to you. And if you get selected, if you get BIG, your partner will conduct the due diligence site visit and all the parts associated with your due diligence. Then once you start your project, your time-to-time project monitoring and fund release will be done by your BIG partner. These are all the defined roles of BIG partners. In addition to that, you will get in touch with experts belonging to the domain of in which you work in. If you have any require any assistance from any technical person, Then through your partners connects, they will be able to connect you, and you will be able to get guidance from them. Also, once you have reached a certain level, then you can get connect to the investors also for further fundraising and so on so forth. I hope this addresses your question.
Okay, so there is one question here. If I'm part of two companies and both are applying for BIG grant for different products, is that allowed? Now, this depends on what you mean by being part of two companies. So you will have to check the eligibility guidelines of BIG, because being part of two companies could make you ineligible if you don't meet certain requirements of BIG in terms of your shareholding in the company, whether you're a promoter in the company, whether both are biotech companies. They have some rules about this. So I suggest that you read the eligibility guidelines. If you have any doubts, you can get in touch with us. We can sort that out for you. If also, suppose you are indeed eligible, it is better if you are the project leader only for one project. So if you're the project leader for both of them, again, that will become an issue. So if you're eligible, make sure that you are a project leader only for one project from one company.
There is one question they are asking if BIG proposal should be submitted preferably for biotech alone. So I assume that this question is about the domain supported by BIG. So as discussed in the slide deck, there are quite a lot of domains which are supported through BIG. But if you have any concerns whether your proposed idea will fit into biotech scope or BIG scope or not, you can discuss on one-on-one a little bit more in detail what exactly is your idea about. Then we can figure out whether it fits into biotech scope or not. And I would like to suggest here that even if you have a little bit doubt about whether it is fitting into BIG scope or not, you can still apply. If it doesn't fit, then you may not be able to get any concrete comments per se. But if it fits, you will get a concrete feedback from both business and technical experts on which you can rework. I'm writing our contact details in the chat. You can collect it from there, and requesting you to connect with us to discuss your idea in more detail so that we'll be able to figure out whether it fits into BIG scope or not.
Participants, please feel free to ask questions. They'll be here with us for another couple of minutes. There is another question for you. Can a project leader who's an Indian doing a postdoc outside India apply for it?
Okay, so Priya, would you take this? I'm just writing our contact information.
Yes. So yes, if you are currently doing a postdoc, it's unlikely that you will be able to contribute full time to the BIG project. If the condition is that by the time you get the grant, you will be done with your postdoc, moving back to India and doing this work in an incubation center in India, or forming a company in India and doing it out of your own company facility, then yes, you can apply for BIG. But you will have to do some part of this work in India. So what I'm trying to say is that this work cannot be carried out in the lab that you're doing your postdoc in abroad. Okay, it has to be carried out in an independent facility in India, and you can do some of the work outside. Like if you think there are facilities that a university or an organization outside is offering and you want to use them, you can sign an MOU with them, such that your agreements with them are very clear, that your relationship with them is that you will be using facility. You will not be sharing IP with them or anything like that. Okay. So the biggest problem with this, the reason I'm saying all this is because, you should not get into trouble with respect to sharing of IP and things like that. So that's why you should carry out this work in an incubation center, which is an independent facility or your own company facility in India. Some of the work you can do it outside, but yes, full time, your devotion should be there for the project.
I suppose there are no more questions. So participants, whoever request for the e-certificate, please fill in the feedback form, which is sent in the chat box besides. And Kirti, just one number for your connection. Any other number that you wish to add over here?
Yeah, I'm just trying to copy Priya's number as well.
Yeah, I'm also trying to. Yeah, that's my number. I've sent.
Okay, you put. Okay, great.
Priya, can you do it to all attendees? It's just for all panelists.
Sure.
Okay. So please find the email ID and the phone number for reaching out to Priya and Kirti. So it has been a wonderful session. I suppose you have been in depth with the application point of view, then how to do the deck. And finally, I suppose now the only question is, when is the date? I mean, when is the steering committee? Rest all you have covered. And definitely, I mean, many of the startups, if you're not able to reach out to them, please feel free to raise your questions. We'll definitely connect to them. And all the best to all the startups who are applying for BIC. So with the permission of Dr. Priya and Dr. Kirti, can we end the session for today?
Yes, yes. Nisha,
Yes,
thank you for you too for hosting the session. It was a very nice experience. We look forward to get some good BIG applications through this session.
Definite, definite. So people, please feel free. The application's open, and in the initial part, many of your, some of the participants would have missed how to apply and the do's and don'ts in application. Ms. Kirti, Dr. Kirti has covered all those sessions. Please feel free to contact her in the application point of view. And yes, thank you. And thank you for both of you coming down, spending few hours with us and explaining to our startups about in depth about the application point of view with the BIG, and in fact a little bit of highlighting about the other project grants like this Sparsh and everything. So I suppose there's one more. Okay. Okay, and with the permission of the speakers, definitely the PPT or the recorded video will be shared in the YouTube channel. Kindly wait for us. We will be sending that through the email there. The details will be sent to you very shortly. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much and all the best.
Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Bye.